Today is Friday, June 17th, 2011. My name is Erin Shelton, and I'm here interviewing Anna Maria Halstead. She is the recruitment coordinator for Carroll County Public Schools.
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much for meeting today.
My joy.
How long have you held this position with Carroll County?
I've been the recruitment coordinator for Carroll County since 2001, so this is my 10th year I'm completing.
Okay, fantastic. Now, do you live here in the area?
I do. I live right in Westminster.
Okay, how do you like it?
I absolutely love it. I've lived here now for it'll be 18 years in August.
Very nice. I've only been here for about 6 years, so.
Oh.
Okay, I read that you taught for a few years here at William Winchester and then also at Baltimore County and Baltimore City.
Yes.
How do the two compare?
Oh, gracious. It's many different ways that they compare. I was a special educator when I was in the classroom, so the population that I worked with was the same. I worked with mild to moderately handicapped individuals. The school systems in themselves are different in many ways. Baltimore City and Baltimore County are much larger school systems than Carroll County. But when I came to Carroll County, I'll tell everybody that I feel like I died and gone to educator's heaven, because there were so many things that were available to me and things that were provided for me that I didn't have to provide for myself anymore.
Oh, that's fantastic. How would you compare the staffing of Carroll County amongst the teachers and the board members compared to Baltimore City, Baltimore County?
I don't typically do that in my position. I try not to compare us to other school districts because we stand alone, and I can show off what's so wonderful about Carroll County, and I can even talk about the things that are trials and struggles for us as a school system without having to bring other school systems in as a comparison to help to make us look better or sometimes make them look worse. But I can say that the educators, no matter where I've gone, have been stellar educators, and that's why Maryland is consistently the #1 school district in the nation, the school system in the nation.
What are some of the struggles you said of Carroll County? What do you think some of the?
Well, one of the greatest struggles that we have as a school system is diversification of our workforce. Some people would say diversification of our student population, but I don't find that to be a struggle. Our student population is what our student population is. The people that live here are the people that live here. But when it comes to the diversification of the workforce, that's something that we do have control over. And I guess nationally, there aren't very many ethnically diverse educators coming into public education anymore, thus making it a smaller pool of people to choose from. And that pool is even more diminished when you have a lot of people of color that like to work with school systems that have more people of color either living in the area or working in the area.
Do you have an opinion as to why you think that there aren't more of a diverse population going into education?
Oh, definitely. One of the reasons that I think is first and foremost is that the amount of pay that a starting teacher gets is not as great as, say, if a person were a math major in college. They could go and work in private sector and make more than double the starting salary. Or if a scientist were to go into the private sector, they would make sometimes triple or 4 times the teacher's starting salary. And it's hard to be the primary wage earner and have a starting salary of $40,000, and in some cases much less than that. In Maryland, we're fortunate that our starting salary for all of our teachers across the board is at $40,000 or greater. Unfortunately, Carroll County, of the 24, now 25 school districts in the state of Maryland, we are at the very bottom of the starting teacher salary scale.
That's hard to accept when you have teachers coming out of school and you want to pull them here to Carroll County.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think it's important to have a diverse teaching staff?
I think it's extremely important, not just for the sake of the complexion of the teacher that works with the student, but I think that because our world is a more diverse world, our state, our nation, our children need to see the reality of what they're going to see when they leave their elementary school, their middle school, their high school, their public education environment. Unless they're going to stay in Carroll County for all of their life, then they're going to experience a lot of different values, a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different just people and things that make this world the great world that it is.
I had mentioned once too that there's, is there like a diversity staffing goal for Carroll County, and what kind of steps have been initiated in the 10 years that you've been here, and then maybe in the 10 years prior to that, so the past 10 to 20 years?
Well, there's always a goal to diversify the workforce. To be a bean counter and to say there's a certain percentage or a certain number of people that we like to hire, we don't do that. What we try to do is hire the best and brightest public school educator that we can get to come to Carroll County Public Schools. When we meet with success is when we hire any diverse educators. And personally, when I go out to look for educators to bring into Carroll County Public Schools, I not only look for ethnic diversity, but I look for the diversity of experiences, the diversity of mindset. I met a young woman that looked like, if you sat across from her, you would think, oh, that's just another white woman, looking for a job as an educator. But she came to us from Alaska, and she was a native Alaskan. And she said in her interview that one of the things that she loves to do is to talk to her children and ask them, what do they expect to see when they think about someone from Alaska? And the children would either draw pictures of Eskimos or draw pictures of the dog sledding teams and the, what are they called, the igloos and things like that. And she would be dressed in regular Western clothing when she was talking to the children. And then in another lesson, she would come in her native garb. And she would talk to the children about her experience as a native Alaskan and the fact that they don't always wear the Eskimo parka and things like that, but they wear different types of clothing, and some of them wear Western clothing. So she gives the children an opportunity to value something deeper than just the complexion of our skin, but the value of what we bring to the classroom. And that type of educator is the type of educator that we need to have in Carroll County Public Schools. She brought both the ethnic diversity, but also the diversity of how to present the information to the children.
When you travel to other universities to meet with people for staffing recruitment, how do you present Carroll County? What kind of a draw do you give to these other applicants and people who are out there to try to bring them in? Is there a cultural draw? Is there any,
I love answering this question. Like you said earlier, you said the questions ahead. And I think that's one of the things that's helped me to meet with such success in this position. Like I said, I had died and gone to educator's heaven. As the recruitment coordinator for Carroll County Public Schools, I get to go out and I get to have bragging rights beyond bragging rights. I get to talk about how our buildings, none of our buildings are in disrepair. I get to go out and talk about the fact that Carroll County in itself, a lot of times people think things that, oh, well, it's an all-white county, so you're not going to have any diversity, and when you do have diversity, you're going to have problems with people accepting you. And I said, oh, it's just the opposite. Carroll County is a very rich, very wealthy, and I don't mean financially wealthy, but very wealthy in its culture. In one of the classes that I took just last year, Culture Beyond in Carroll County and Beyond, and I learned a lot about some of the things like the Strawbridge Shrine and, oh gracious goodness, the Historical Society right on Main Street, Francis Scott Key, and just lots and lots of rich, diverse ideals that come through Carroll County. It's not just a farming town. It's not just a place where the greatest employer is the school system. It's not just the place where we service our 28,000 children. It's a place where people can grow and be nurtured within the school system and within the community.
With all that as a draw, why is it difficult to recruit more of a diverse staff? When you go out, what kind of roadblocks do you come up against?
That's a loaded question, and my answer stereotypically would draw some fire from my colleagues, but I think that a lot of my administrative colleagues need to have a different lens. We stereotypically, with us having McDaniel right in our backyard, Towson right in our front yard, other schools that we use and pull a lot of our new teachers from, we consistently get a wonderful, wonderful pool of teachers, but they all look the same. The complexion is the same, the training is the same, and if we continue to fill our classrooms with what we're knowing to help us meet with success, with what we know to be tried and true, with what we're comfortable with, then we're going to continue to get the same thing that we've been getting. If we don't risk, and it's interesting that we have to use the word risk when we're talking about diversification, but if we're not willing to risk hiring teachers from Morgan State University, or from Coppin State University, or from Bowie University, or from University of Maryland Eastern Shore, or from any other historically black college or university, or from any of the ethnically diverse venues that we attend, if we're not willing to hire someone and interview someone who doesn't come from our cookie cutter, everything is successful here at Villa Julie or now Stevenson, then we're going to have the same thing, and our children aren't going to get a chance to get that rich diversity that they so deserve.
About how many applicants are received each year for teaching staff, and what would you say the percentage is of minorities compared?
On an average year, we get anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 teacher applications, and that's in all teacher areas, from elementary through high school, and each one of the pedagogies. You have English, math, science, and so on and so forth. To be able to give you a percentage of how many are non-white, I'd be breaking a law. We can't keep those types of statistics, and when people do report what their ethnicity is, we don't use that for, as I call it, the bean counting, but we use it to report to the U.S. government what ethnicity people are once we hire them, not those that apply.
Would you say that the salary that's offered to teaching staff is higher for those that you're pulling from other areas as opposed to local hiring? When you go out and when people are interviewed and offered, would they tend to get a higher salary to relocate here to Carroll County as opposed to people who already are living here?
Certainly not. No.
I know that there's a whole move, the ETMA, the Education as Multicultural. How is that affecting the educational goals of Carroll County?
The Education as Multicultural here in Carroll County, Patricia Leveroni, she pretty much spearheads that. And I've been active with that, and I've seen it be nothing but successful. It helps the children to see differently. It helps the staff to see differently. It helps us to embrace one another and value one another. It's not just about white folk appreciating and valuing African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, and Native Americans, but it's about those people of color respecting and valuing people, non-ethnic people, or people, I should say non-ethnic, but right. of honoring white people, Caucasians.
Right, so it kind of goes both ways.
Absolutely.
Does part of the history of Carroll County, I know we touched on this earlier, have a poor reputation for like minority groups to come into it? I know a lot of people think it is just the farming community in the good old boy area. And do you think that there's a support network in place in order to grow a more diverse population in general?
Okay. The first part of the question, is there some fear factor? Most assuredly. I remember when I came here 18 years ago, the reason that we relocated up here is because we got more bang for our buck. We were able to get a lot more land, a bigger house for the smaller amount of money. Had we gone to a Baltimore County or Montgomery or Howard County, we would have gotten maybe a row home at best. So we were really able to secure a really good piece of property. We were very fortunate that I had not at that point investigated the schools, because I had intended to keep my son with me wherever I went. Now that I have 3 children, I'm very pleased that I had come to Carroll County and that my children are all products of Carroll County Public Schools because it has been a very rich opportunity. But one of my greatest fears when we came here was because I had heard through the rumor mill that the Ku Klux Klan was big in Carroll County and that we had better be careful, and it put a lot of fear in my heart. But I knew that when I came here that I would be okay because I personally had not heard anything like that, and I can report very proudly that I've not had a problem in the 18 years that we've been here, nor have my children. So is there still a fear factor? For some, yes. And I'm glad that I get the opportunity to dispel that fear factor. And I encourage all the recruiters that go out for us to speak the truth of Carroll County. And that in itself will encourage people to come to see us. As it relates to the second part of your question, and I think I've lost it.
And just, is there like a support network in place to grow the diversity of Carroll County itself, not just among teaching staff?
Yes, there is a very strong support network. As a matter of fact, we've partnered with one of those support networks, which is the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. But we've been attending and participating in the annual conference with the National Alliance of Black School Educators, which is NAPSE. And NAPSE is an opportunity for us to go on and recruit teachers, provide professional development, and to bring back information and to share information about Carroll County. As a result of that continued relationship and participation, we are now in the process of establishing our own affiliate branch of the NAPSE, which is going to be CAPSE, which is Carroll's Audacious Public School Educators. And I think that with that type of piece in place, it gives educators and the community an opportunity to work hand in hand to ensure that people are feeling welcome and have a place to either go and vent or go and share some of the successes or the challenges that they're meeting with. We also have the CCEA, which is the Carroll County Education Association. And they have lots of things in place to help teachers to come together, to work with one another. And a lot of people look at it as just the teachers union, but it's the teachers association. It's a professional association that helps the teachers have a place to go to talk about, again, the struggles and the successes that they meet with. And then with our administrative staff, they are very successful at making people feel welcome, making them feel valued and appreciated no matter who they are. So we've got a lot of things in place that are helping us continue to meet with success.
Thank you very much for your time today. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you.